people. We offer 100 plus globally accredited certifications across emerging and in-demand domains like generative AI and emerging technologies, HR and learning and development, project management and agile Scrum, ISO and quality management, information security. Each GSDC certification is designed to empower professionals with confidence and help organizations stay competitive in a fast-changing landscape. Every certification is crafted with insights from 100 plus global advisory board members representing top universities and leading industry experts. Our certified professionals are trusted by 500 plus multinational companies, which help unlock better roles, faster promotions, and delivering cutting-edge expertise. We partner with 100 plus authorized training partners and 50 plus universities, supporting talent across all career levels, from entry level to executive leadership. As a GSDC member, you gain lifelong access to interactive webinars, hands-on workshops, SME panels, and global summits. Join a vibrant community of 25,000 plus members and be part of our global events. Check our reviews on Trustpilot. We're trusted worldwide for quality, support, and impact. Whether you're aiming higher or building tomorrow's talent, GSDC is your partner in purposeful growth and impactful leadership. Visit our website to explore our offerings. GSDC, share the best practices and learn from the best practices. Welcome to the Global Skill Development.
Hello everyone, we'll be starting the session shortly. Just allow me to share my screen again. Here we go. I hope my screen is visible to you all. So yes, I welcome you all to Global Skill Development Council Certified Learning Optimizing Infrastructure DevOps and DevSecOps session. Today will be the last session of this webinar series, and with the theme that is building secure, scalable, and efficient infrastructure through DevOps and DevSecOps. So we have this incredible panel of speakers aligned for this entire webinar series, which was scheduled from 1st September and which will be there till 12th of September. So please do join us for remaining sessions as well, as we have this amazing panel of speakers lined up for SRE, which is the upcoming webinar scheduled from Monday to Friday. So please do join us for this session as well. Also, today we'll be having Duronki Oleso with us. She's the Security Bench Chief Research Officer, and she'll be presenting the topic on incidents response and recovery in the DevSecOps framework. So before she could start with her session, I would like to introduce our hosting organization, GSDC. So we known as Global Skill Development Council. We are vendor agnostic, we are vendor neutral, we are globally recognized certification body, and we are accredited by ASI and ABICP. We have 100 plus certification portfolio with us. We have certified more than 250,000 professionals worldwide. We have 500 SMEs. Those are subject matter experts, industry experts, and their affiliates from top universities like Harvard, Stanford, MIT. They work with us closely to design our deliverables, and we are associated with 1,000 multinational corporates and 500 Fortune companies with us, also 30 plus universities across the globe. And I'm very proud to inform you all that we do have authorized training partner across the globe. We do have partner in Asia, Africa, Canada, America, and many other countries. So I would love to thank you, those who have joined us through our training partner channel. If you're looking for any training program for yourself, I'll be sharing the link in the chat box shortly, so you can reach out to training partner to inquire about the training programs that you're looking for. So yes, special thanks to our official media partner, World Press Hub, for covering all our events and press releases. So as I mentioned earlier in the previous slide that we do have 100 plus certification portfolio, which includes certification. Our certification portfolio includes certification on generative AI, agentic AI, learning and development professionals, HR professionals, PMO, generative AI in project management, ISO related certifications, generative AI in cybersecurity, risk and compliance, and so on. So if you're looking for any of this certification for yourself, you can reach out to a learning advisor to get more information and details regarding this. Also, you can explore our website that is www.gsdcons.org to get more information and to see the GSDC is offering on that website. I'll be sharing the website link in the shortly in the chat box. So if you get a certification through GSDC, that will give you lifelong membership, and you'll be getting access to all our exclusive learning programs that we do have. Along with that, you'll be getting implementation resources, speaker invites, and newsletters. So do sign up yourself for this certification. So without any further delay, would love to welcome our today's speaker and would love to tell you all more about Durunki. She is an agile, result-driven strategic leader with over 20 years of experience in IT governance, risk management, and cybersecurity across both private and public sectors. Beginning her career as developer, she has built deep expertise in areas including application security, cloud transformation, AI, DevSecOps, data governance, and identity and access management. So currently serving as a chief research officer at Security Bench, she focuses on driving innovation in digital ecosystem to create simple and secure solution for the future. So we are delighted to have you, Durinki, today with us. Thank you for joining the session. And this virtual speaker is over to you.
Thank you, Pritam. Thank you very much for that introduction. I think you froze out a little bit, so I didn't know when you did the sentence, but we're good. Good morning from Toronto, and good evening to people in Singapore and from wherever you're joining. Just before I started, I saw people joining from Nigeria. I also want to say hello to you. Good afternoon over there. And thank you for joining this session today. Pritam has introduced the topic, and I think she has spoken about me. So we're just going to dive into today's presentation. So I'm going to share my screen. Again, good morning, everyone. So our topic today is incident response recovery in a DevSecOps framework. We're trying to integrate security throughout the software development lifecycle. My name again is Durunke Wolesho, and you can find me on LinkedIn. So let's dive into the topic this morning. I'm sure a lot of you are experts or looking to upskill or reskill or do a lot of things. But our topic today is about DevSecOps. So we all know DevSecOps, and again, I want to take you through it over to see the way things are in DevSecOps environment. DevSecOps integrates security practices into the entire software development lifecycle. So what I've done is I put a diagram here to see the traditional IT. Of course, we know DevOps, we've inserted security into it. For those that have been through the old, generation, we see the way traditional IT was doing things. Things are done big in huge chunks. The organization is more about skill-centric silos together, and things are centralized. When it comes to scheduling, it's centralized. But if we I'll take a pause there and let's look at DevOps. DevOps is more about having things in micro chunks. We're having dedicated cells, and there's no longer anything about centralized. We do things in a decentralized version, and things are done continuously. And the advantage this brings to us, releases are not a major showstoppers. In the traditional IT, you remember that anytime there's going to be a deployment is a high risk. Even people that work behind the scenes, somebody like me, I used to be a DB in those days. You start getting you become anxious. Reason being that, these are high risk events, it's visible, your customers could be impacted, you've taken downtime to do all these kind of things. But with DevOps now, we don't have anything like that. Things are just done continuously. You might not even be aware that changes are being deployed. So the information is disseminated. In DevOps is actionable. And the culture is, with traditional IT, I just told you that we cannot fail, right? And that even brings more anxiety to the security, the tech people, the people in the background. But with DevOps approach, it means that even if you fail, because we have different things going on, you can fail early in the process, and you can actually locate where things are going to fall short, and you can take charge of it, go back, and we call it shift left, and then you take control of those kind of things, and then you go back again. So that way you're taking short steps. If you look at the metrics, they're looking at cost and capacity in the days of traditional IT, but with DevOps, it's more like time. Cost and capacity is still considered, but we're thinking of time, little time to do things. And how do you define you're done? So it will be like, well, I've done what I needed to do. But in DevOps, because the team is collaboration, everybody's working together. So it's kind of like the system is ready for deployment. So if I go back again to the introduction of DevSecOps, of course, DevSecOps is where we infuse security into DevOps. So we're shifting from isolated security teams to embedded security in development and operational workflows. So everybody's working together. And what that means, it makes us nimble, it enables agility, there's comprehensive incident response and recovery, because things are done in small chunks. And of course, unlike traditional models, it fosters collaboration and proactivity. So if I want to take it, there's somebody, Jim Kim, he defines DevSecOps. It's about embedding security into the DNA of how we build and deliver software. So that's DevSecOps for you. So what I've done is, to look at the core principles of DevSecOps. What is the core principles again? We're talking of continuous monitoring. There's real-time visibility into the system health, there's the security posture, and then there's proactive detection. So if anything were to go wrong, we can nip it in the bud before it even gets into production, right? And there's a constant feedback loops. As we do things, we treat incidents as learning opportunities to inform future practices. So while you're trying to get things ready, if anything happens, we know that, oh, this can be a failure point. It's documented, and in future, we know that things like that will not be repeated. So we view incidents as systemic, not isolated events. And of course, incidents are learning opportunities that can inform future developments and operational practices. There's a continuous feedback loop here, to see how things are done. We monitor things, we analyze things, and it's a loop. It goes round and round. Not one is, you can say one is first or is isolated. Everything just flips into each other. So you can see continuously observing the system, the operations to dictate if there are any issues. And then if there is, we respond, we implement changes or updates based on the analysis to address the issues that we've identified. And then, of course, we are improving, continuously improving. So, but I'm giving you a little tip this morning. I've brought some lining, if I can say that, some oyster. If you in recent times, I want us to stay back a little bit. In recent times, you can see that AI has infused itself into all we do. I don't think there's anyone on this call that has not felt the impact of AI. We're now using AI to generate codes. Even if you don't want to do it, I don't know if there's any developer here. Your team, your manager, the business people are going to tell you, oh, but you can generate it with AI. You can use ChatGPT. But what I found while preparing for this lecture is that there isn't really anything out there that's talking about how AI is part of the development framework. Don't get me wrong. We use AI to drive DevSecOps. It's part of the tools. Some of our tools now, the tooling system used in DevOps framework is of AI. But what I'm talking about this morning is that AI is part and parcel of development now. We in the traditional way, well, it's still what is obtaining. We're
Jhanki, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but your screen is not visible.
oh, my screen is
Okay.
not okay. No.
Yeah.
Let's go back. I'm gonna go stop sharing and reshare again. So let me know if you can see it.
Yeah, we can see it now. Yes.
Okay, you know what? Let me share the entire screen because it might be the first one that was seen. Give me a moment. Let's take this again. Okay. I'll stop the sharing and then I'll share again. I'm going to share the entire screen. And then, okay. And I'm going to do a quick test. So let me know if you can see me moving.
Yes, we can see your screen now.
You can see my screen, okay?
Yes.
Yes, but I tried to move it and can you see it? Did you see the change?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So let me quickly go back. I don't know what you saw. Did you see this? You saw the first screen, right?
Yeah, first room.
Okay, so that was the only thing you saw, the incident response. So I spoke about this, the introduction. This is the screen that goes with it. And I spoke about quoting Jim Kim, who says that DevSecOps is about infusing security into the DNA of software development. So I believe you all saw that. Okay, I'm minimizing this. Okay. And I was talking about monitoring and sharing, the feedback. So the core principles of which is about monitoring. I don't know if you saw this. I can go over it again. So what I was saying is that some of the core principles for us to run in a DevSecOps environment, so part of the core principles is about monitoring and constantly feeding back. We're monitoring whatever we're doing is being monitored and we're constantly feedback. That's why we're able to operate in those little silos. And we shouldn't view any incident as being systemic or even isolated. We will look at incidents, or rather, we'll look at incident as part of what we're doing and we'll correct it and we'll update our processes so that we can learn from it for future. So we did the screen and the next screen. Okay, so I think it's frozen again. Okay, it's a bit slow. I was introducing the team, I was introducing you to AI development environment. And what I was talking about was that in this day and age, now we're generating codes with AI. In the past, we have developers writing codes, testing them. I'm not saying they still do not do this because even codes that are generated with AI still need to be verified by humans, by those developers. But it puts them at the higher skill level in the sense that they understand the whole loop and they can figure out if anything is wrong. But what I'm trying to tell you this morning, if you comb around, just to know what we're offering here, is that the DevSecOps environment has not really the processes that are out there. They have not really incorporated the AI development environment. And I'm saying, do not get me wrong. We do use AI as part of the tools to enable our DevSecOps, but I'm talking of actual development that involves AI because the team, the ID, in the past we'll refer to it as integrated development environment, and I've incorporated it, twisted it a little bit. I called it AID, which is AI development environment. So it brings a unique infrastructure. Now we have data pipelines. We have model repositories. We have GPU, graphical processing units, the compute. AI chunks uses a lot of data and needs a lot of power. So it's incorporated beyond the CPUs that we're used to. We're talking of GPUs now. But what I want to tell you is still the same core principles. What I'm trying to tell you here is that even though it's still the same core principles, we should put all this into our processes. If your organization has not put that, or if you, as someone who is looking to upskill yourself in DevSecOps, you should also incorporate this, because this is the trend. This is where we're going. Unlike the traditional environments, specialized AI tools assets are now part of the development workbench. That is what, so that's what I introduced to you this morning. So what can we find in AID? What can we find in AI development environment? There are all kinds of tool stacks in addition to our traditional. I just brought this out there and I got this from AI Stack somewhere online. You know, we now have the infrastructure layer, which includes things like, you know, GPUs, graphical processing units from companies like NVIDIA, AMD, of course, Google, they're all incorporating this. And of course, from the traditional service providers, you know, AWS, Azure. The model layer, you know, where we're training our model, the pre-training, the data layer, because AI relies on data. Okay. And then, of course, the tools that we're using to do all of this. And of course, the application layer, your ChatGPT, your Perplexity, you know, Claude, whatever you're using in your organization. So I'm just saying, I'm trying to show you this morning that these are the new tools that may find their ways into your development environment. Okay. I hope you're still with me. So now, this is what you are used to. The core, the traditional DevSecOps gear wheel. You know, it's development with security at the core of everything that we do. And of course, before we go into the operations. So my discussion going forward is I'm going to assume that your DevSecOps incorporates AI. If you have not done it, you can just keep it as a placeholder. I'm sure in a couple of months, if you're not already doing it, or in a year, you're going to be incorporating this into your processes. So what are we talking about when we talk of DevSecOps? Of course, it's shift left security, shift left. What that means is that before we go into our production environment, we do everything before we push or deploy into production. And if there's anything that's not right, we shift left, you go backwards to fix them. So we're embedding prevention and detection early in development stage so that we can reduce possible vulnerabilities in our production environment, even if it's your AI or ML processes, you know. Automation and orchestration, these are part of our core principles. We're streamlining across all environments, you know, including your AI tool chains for faster containment and remediation. So we are streamlining, we're making sure that we have all processes, we have visibility. And of course, it's a collaborative responsibility. You know, we're going to break down the silos. Now we have development engineers. Now we have data scientists that are part of the team. We have ML engineers, AI specialists, of course, the traditional developers, the security advisors, the operation teams. We have all these people working together as a team. So that gives us a seamless and unified handling of all processes. So having laid all those tools down, understanding what could be in your development environment, whether it's AI, whether it's the traditional, understanding the principles, we're now going into today's topic, which is our incident response, you know, using DevSec frameworks. So incident detection, what do you say when we talk of incident detection? You know, we're treating incidents as learning opportunities for all stacks. We've developed all the stacks, you know, infrastructure, data layer, data modeling, you know, whatever you're using, your AI tools, your development tools. Any incident that happens, we need to make sure we understand it, we document it, because it gives us the opportunity to have a seamless process when we're deploying. It's beneficial to both the traditional IDE and, of course, the AID environment that I just introduced you to. And it also ensures that lessons that we learn from it is going to inform our practice in the organization. If you have questions, I think they at the end of it, but you just keep putting it there and we'll go over them. Okay. So when we're talking of incident detection, we're now going to look at the layer, the stack. I tried to put something here. I hope it represents a little bit of it. So you step back a little bit and look at your stack. You have the hardware, which is the infrastructure anyway. It could be software defined now with the way things are going. We have the operating system. Of course, we have the server, we have the software, we have the application. So infrastructure as code, that you're all used to that. If you're not, infrastructure as code is where infrastructure is now defined through software. In the past, you have engineers, they're coupling servers, they're deploying, they're installing things. Now you do it with code. So a network engineer now should be able to script, right? So the infrastructure as code monitoring means that you have a visibility over the code that is representing your software. So an example, you build a virtual machine, right? Virtual machine, you put codes on them. These are all, these are things we call infrastructure as code, and this is just done with a software, release. You just write the code and it generates them. And of course, sorry about that. And because it's in cloud, those are things that we can do. It enables you to scale. Unlike before, you have this server and then people are saying, oh, we need to get 2 more boxes. We need to get, or your capacity planning, or start thinking ahead that, in a year's time, we need to buy more. Now we use infrastructure, we use code to deploy all of that. You can expand as much as you want, and you can, reduce them if you don't need those servers. So with your ID, with your DevSecOps, to detect incident, there should be visibility over your infrastructure code. Whatever code that is representing, it should be monitored. You should be looking at it. So you monitor traditional servers plus your specialized aid resources. Aid, again, you know what that is, AI development environment. They use GPU instead of CPUs. We have graphical processing units. There's distributed computing because things are done in parallel, but there has to be. So you need to be tracking the configuration changes to spot anything that can be misaligned. The application performance monitoring is also important. You detect anomalies in your application behavior, which can tell you that something is wrong. And so the reason why you need to do this is so that if you need to do anything or to go back, because you have a full visibility, you can easily nip things that can go wrong immediately. So incident detection relies on comprehensive strategies spanning the entire life cycle. When I say life cycle, all the way from your hardware to the application layer, there has to be visibility over them. Here, this is a way just to go into what developers do, but just to give you a quick example, developers will push their code, maybe sitting in a shared repository, example, GitHub, where they're doing the versioning control, and they're constantly, because now with DevSecOps framework, we're constantly doing things. We're constantly pushing codes. So they're frequently merging codes. They're validating that their continuous integration is error-free. Code is compiled, you build artifacts, all dependencies that are on it, there's, APIs, libraries, all those things. You make sure they're sorted out and they're stored in the repository. Environments are created, containers are built, your Dockers, you're using your Kubernetes or whatever you're using. And, this is followed by testing processes. So this is the normal way that, developers are working. Microservices, things are done with containers, the pipelines. We have all those things in there. But with incident detection, all these nitty-gritty details are important because that is the way. Just imagine a factory line or an assembly line, where you're bottling things. I'm just trying to use a physical example. Nothing can go wrong. If something goes wrong, the whole thing will stop. But the beauty of DevSecOps is because we're doing things in silos and we're trying to catch what could go wrong easily, you can correct them without disrupting the flow because we have various environments. But How do you achieve that? In order to do that, you should be able to detect your incident. And how do you detect the incident? Because you're monitoring, you are aware of all you have in your pipeline, you're aware of everything, you know what your repository consists of. Everything is documented. Okay. So this is it, container microservices monitoring. You know, you need to monitor all those for your ML, you know, where you have machine learning and AI. You need to monitor all those workloads. You should address cloud native challenges beyond the perimeter security. What that means is that sometimes I mean, we should try and be open as much as possible. We always look for open source, open codes, or open architecture that you can move from one cloud provider to the other. But really, there's still some peculiarities. So you also need to be aware of all these nuances. That's what I'm trying to say there. And of course, identify subtle indicators of compromise. For your CI/CD pipeline monitoring, make sure that your ML flow, the model, you know, data pipelines, everything, you have visibility over them, and make sure that, you know, the secrets, which are the passwords that you use, the vulnerable dependencies and all that, make sure that you have good visibility over them. So this is a monitoring. So I create, you know, development and data monitoring. This is supposed to be a screen, you know, where you're looking at things, you're tracking IDs. That's integrated development environment, your notebook servers, your collaborative platforms. If you have sensitive data, for example, you know, in some organizations, they're probably dealing with sensitive data. You need to protect them. You need to monitor your data lakes, you know, stores, registries where things are stored, and of course your authentication, because it's important. What if you could go back and then you are not able to authenticate? So you need to have oversight for all those diversity within your environment. So I put some little note there for you. You know, development environment monitoring includes tracking activities within integrated development environments, your notebook servers, your platforms, you know, wherever the data scientists and developers work together, maybe with sensitive data sets and all those proprietary models. And I put an example here that what could possibly go wrong. You know, I was trying to look for a same, but I don't have it now. CyberArk, for example, I took this from their site. This is a CI/CD pipeline, and I just want to let you know that for each of these workload, or for each of these processes, there are things, there are secrets, there are authentication tools that you need to make sure that are not compromised, you know. So your passwords, your SSH keys, maybe, you know, for servers communicating with each other, API keys, cloud access keys, and all those things, they will be all over. They're spread all over. When you're monitoring, when you're keeping, make sure you have a good oversight for all this, because it could lead to places of compromise. Having get all the, so it's like you prepared, you know, incident, we're preparing for, we're going through a process of incident preparedness. So we've looked at all the tools we have in our workloads, on our benches, and we've said that we're going to make sure we have good visibility over them as well. You also need to prepare, you know, with playbooks, creating playbooks, automated response. So what is normally used, you know, you call something the security orchestration and automation response. You know, this is a way to make sure that you have tools that you can use if an event were to be triggered, you are ready for it. It's like your disaster preparedness, kind of. It may not be disaster at that particular time, but we make sure that we create playbooks. You walk through what, based on the incidents that you've seen while developing, while doing everything, you create playbooks that you can follow. You know, things that you can follow, and they should be automated such that if something happens, you can nip it in the bud, and that can be taken care of, and they should be automated. But you don't just arrive there. You test all these things. You make sure you have the right environment for that. And that includes, having the right threat intelligence platform, having the right security incident platform, response platforms. And this is how you can now put all this together and create what is called a SOAR. This lecture is not so much to sell any tool, so that's why I'm not mentioning or putting samples of tools here. But really, the business, the first thing is you prepare things before you start looking for tool sets. You need to understand your environment. You need to understand what you want to protect. You need to understand what you want to restore. And then before you start looking for tools. But the whole purpose of SOAR is that you can respond quickly to any threats or any vulnerability. And that's the whole purpose of being agile, right? So when preparing, we've talked about, playbooks. Now we're going to talk about rollbacks and backups, automated backups. You make sure you have that. Don't be reactive. It's good to be proactive. Make sure there are automated backups for your code repos, for the code repositories where you have all the codes. For AI asset, of course, we're incorporating AID, as I told you. You should also include your AI assets, all the models, the data sets, maybe result sets that you need for your testing. Make sure you have created automated backups for that. The infrastructure as code that I told you, you need to make sure that that code, you have copies of it. Of course, we have different, in a true environment, I know you have different environments. Some people might have like 7 landscapes or whatever, and making sure that they have, when I say landscapes, I mean things like dev, QA, some people have UAT, and some people make sure that maybe the UAT environment is similar to production. But regardless, whatever it is, make sure all these environments are always back up and you have those your code. Imagine not, you can imagine what it is if you lose the code that you have used to recreate a particular infrastructure. So make sure that you have those codes ready. If anything happens, you can quickly redeploy, or you can treat them as disposable. I'm going to talk about that later, but easily you can spin up a server with a code and, as soon as possible. Automated rollbacks in your continuous integration, continuous development environment. Because you have versions stored, you can easily revert back to your previous version based on alert. Maybe the alert dictates something is wrong and it's not going to disrupt anything. You have all those stored in your Git or in your repository where you can easily go back. You can roll back your apps, your models, the experiments you're doing, testing or data pipelines, and make sure you incorporate all the diverse tech stack in your aid environment. Just a quick real life scenario. There's some situations that some people can't even, maybe you've heard of all this sprawl. They don't even know what tools they are using or the tools, because they have so many and developers are good at that. So make sure you incorporate whatever tech stack. I shared a tool chain, what it could be, because there's so many things now happening in our development environment. We have the chat GPTs, you're using different, maybe AI models, or you're using some open source, whatever. You should make sure that all these are documented and they're included in your environment, because this is going to help you to reduce your recovery time and also ensure that you have consistent security across all your platforms or your tool chains. And a little note here for you is that having automated backup or snapshot systems protect both your code repositories and your specialized assets. So when it comes to, having stated all of that, all this will not work if we do not have team collaboration. So whatever communication tools that we have, the entire team must work in a unified version. So we have integrated platforms which will maintain, situational awareness across maybe your development environment, across your security environment, across your operational environment. In essence, I would say that we should all be aware. Everybody it's not a situation where it doesn't concern me. We should have that dashboard that we can all constant, even if it does not concern, at least occasional glance, looking at it, oh, the servers are running well, everything is good. So this is the collaboration tool that is visible to everybody. So there's a shared dashboard where everybody have visibility into whatever incident, if there's any, and also the system health. Even if there's no incident, but at least you look up and see that everything is green, right? Or it could be places where you have SLAs, your 9.5s or 8.9s or whatever. You make sure that there's that status and everybody can glance up and just look and say, oh, okay, things are good. And then in a way, you're okay. So there should be emphasis on cross-functional collaboration throughout the incident life cycle. I love to call it cross-pollination. You learn what I'm doing. I'm not saying deep learning, but you are aware of what I'm doing, and he's aware of, and I am aware of what he's doing. So there's that emphasis on cross-functional collaboration throughout the incident life cycle. So all stakeholders, regardless of their primary tool chain, it doesn't matter where you're just the security advisor, you're just the data scientist, you can say that you are not part of the operations. They have the headache. We should maintain situational awareness. That's the emphasis here. And also the reviews and training. So when an incident happens, after the incident, we shouldn't blame it. It should not be, oh, they were wrong. They did this. They did not do this on time, or it was because these people, they're fond of doing something. We should not blame people. We should not be looking for fault, but we should focus on exactly what the issue was. So what was the systemic issue that led to that incident? So we want to understand, as maybe a DBA, I want to understand what the development, what triggered whatever happened. Or it could be that the developer, maybe the DBA did not forgot to implement a particular index, and then things became so slow, and then the system could not function. We should have, at a high level, we're not saying go do their jobs, but understand where the situation is happening so that we can all, help each other and make sure that our system, because at the end of the day, if a system is not working well or it has problem, to the outsiders, it does not matter whether it's from a particular team or the other team. They're going to look at the organization holistically. So it's important that we work together, we collaborate, we encourage open information sharing. And of course, there should be liaison among the different teams, to bridge any gaps that can exist. Development teams, work together collaboratively with the security teams, and so that we can bridge any gap that can exist. And now we're going to, so we've talked about, during incident, what can happen, So in a recovery phase, right, what can happen? First of all, I want to share this with you. I don't know if you guys know about, immutable infrastructure. And I put an example here. The system, there's some systems that there's nothing you can do, or try to recreate them is not worth it. For example, I can share two examples, one physical example and a real example, and a digital example. So let's take the physical example. For example, in a house, maybe the wall was painted blue instead of red. We can go over the wall and put something over it, right? Put another color, and that would take care of it. But look at your wash hand basin. Let's say the one that is made of the porcelain, right? If it cracks, you're not going to gum it together. You're going to throw it away and you're going to buy a new one. So it is now with the infrastructure that we have. Sometimes it takes a long time to fix errors in some server. If you have done your homework, if you've done all the processes I've walked you through, there's some servers is not worth trying to figure out or to fix what it is. All you just need to do is take that code and just recreate it. It will be faster. These days they do, sometimes your laptop has problems and all that. They just say, you know what, they just discard it and just refresh, because they have all those codes stored. So immutable infrastructures are those infrastructures that are beyond restoration. You just need to deploy a fresh, clean instance to avoid persistent threats. Or it could be that you cannot figure where the problem is, or there's an endemic threat to it, so you deploy fresh one. So it ensures system integrity and it reduces risk. So I'm also talking about granular recovery in microservices. You should also isolate incident to minimize downtime that will happen. Containers, as you know, people that, the developers, your containers, they use the immutable model. If the containers, you just deploy a new one. So this is immutable model. This is an immutable model in this example that I've provided. This one is not good. So you just destroy it and you create a new one. So that's part of recovery. Again, there's disaster recovery as code. We're talking of SOA architecture a moment ago. So I also want you, if you've done your playbooks, if you've got you're on top of it, sometimes you could even treat disaster as a code, disaster recovery as a code, because you have your versioned software, you know what version was running in production, you've tested your artifacts, you have all of them stored, you have the run books created, and you've tested them, and they're working well. Then you can just, if something happens, it could just be you starting that complete code end to end, because because right now we're doing IAC, meaning that infrastructure could be created as a code, your server could be generated as a code, your database, everything. It could be that you just run that entire script and that can help you. So these are ways to ensure that we have seamless recovery, but it needs the background work, which I've taken you through. So you have to maintain, it will help you to maintain overall availability during any selective component recovery. So infrastructure as data, again, we said that recovering them are your servers, your GPU clusters, all the distributed resources that you have. For your data, you have all those feature stores, your model registries, your data sets, and of course, if you have all of them documented, there's going to be minimal disruption to your development, and all the AI activities that you're doing if you've done your homework. So planning for disaster recovery, it means that you are able to account for any complex configuration. And I believe our work desks now, or our development environments, workbench actually was what I wanted to use. They're becoming more complex now. So, but if we do the proper thing, all these complex configurations, the libraries, things we've customized, if we have stored them, if we have tested them, it will just be easy to plan for any disaster that can happen. And, the effect on the business is very critical. I made an example when I was talking, saying that if anything happens, inside or internally, we know that, oh, this was what happened. But to the business, imagine if you're a bank and something we didn't plan properly, your customers are going to be talking, and this can affect our productivity, our profitability, and also the perception, the trust, and everything. So this is why it's important to make sure we do all that is needed to keep our organization flowing and making sure that things are done. So we've gone through that. Continuous improvement is the source of the game. Continuous improvement, we have to be tracking our metrics. The capability maturity model, if you're aware of it, you don't get matured in one day. You start initially. As you do all these things, you start improving and your maturity keeps going up. Same thing. When we practice all these things, even incident, you may not have any disaster. God forbid we have disasters, but we need to improve our metrics. Make sure you're tracking your metrics. I've put two here, MTTD, MTTR. MTTD is the mean time to detect incidents. How fast are you detecting incidents? How many incidents are you detecting? And then that's your MTTD formula. I put it here. And your MTR is the mean time to resolve incidents. How well are you doing? Maybe last year where, this was a number, you want to make sure that you're reducing that number. That is a way to make sure that, yes, there's continuous improvement, but you have to track your metrics. It will help you and it will inform your process improvements, and it will also help the investment in the tool chains, in the organization. So we need to use incidents as a learning opportunity. Okay. Part of it also is threat modeling. You have to put that, you have to integrate threat modeling into your processes, integrate lessons into design via your threat modeling. Supposing this situation were to happen again, maybe at the time you resolve it, you use the best possible means. But imagine if you stay back to improve the process. Then people can think deep, and you might have the best optimal way to resolve that process. So this has to constantly be going on in the background. Do tabletop exercises and chaos engineering. You practice and you identify weaknesses in your pipelines and look for ways to correct them and make sure they're not repeatable, or make ways to make them to be more efficient in doing all of that. Okay. So in summary, I'm looking at, of course, we're talking of logging, monitoring. You need your SIEM. I see a lot of organizations, people call it out as it, but SIEMs continuously seem to be not working well or not even available. It's important to have that, to make sure that you have a collection point for all your log, right? Because that will help you for aggregation, for orchestration. You can create dashboards on them and see how all those metrics that I talked about, they can be on top of your SIEM, to see the analysis, to see how things are going, and to see ways that you can improve that. But if we're not collecting, if you're not harvesting your log and you're just reactive, then the maturity, organizations that are doing it, they're doing better, of course. And that's the way we should look at things. So your container security is very important. Your API gateways, having a centralized or an API gateway so that security is sure, you can check them. And of course, you have observability platforms, for your AI. And of course, we spoke about secrets during the lecture. You have to manage them, because what's your profit if you do all those and you lose your secret, you lose the passwords, you lose the access, you don't have the keys? That is very important in whatever you're doing. And for aid that I introduced to you in this webinar, your AI development environment, you make sure that you're monitoring it and you have the same, you're aggregating traditional and also the AI metrics and events, your model, how far, how are they responding and stuff like that. And for your network and identity tools, you handle aid traffic and authentication. And of course, your asset inventory is very important. Don't let there be a sprawl that you're not in control of. If you're using any open source, even if you just got it to make things work faster, make sure it's documented, and also make sure that your compliance, your ethics and things that we're watching that the whole world is talking about these days, you have them protected. Your intellectual property, performance impacts, these are things that should be going through and you should consider. And the conclusion, what's the takeaway today? What do I leave you with today? You should expand your DevSecOps to include aid. Even if you're not developing, I know a lot of organizations are already using Copilot. They're creating their own, their GPT for, questions and things like that. Those need to be incorporated into your DevSecOps environment so that you can still maintain the principles. Of course, the paradigm shift is to be proactive, to integrate security, comprehensive security, because that's what's going to be your benefit. You're going to have a unified framework, not in silos. The AI team is working separately, your ID team is working separately. We need to bring them together. That way, that's how we can build resilient systems through automation, collaboration, and learning. And of course, it requires cultural change and commitment to technologies and all that. Okay. And the call to action, I quote myself, and I'm saying make sure you integrate procedures for AI dev ecosystems. And that's it. Brings me to the end of this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chiranki, for such an amazing session. Thank you so much. We'll quickly jumping into the Q&A, but let me see the questions if you have received in the chat box. So
Okay.
I would like to request all the participants, please do drop your questions in the chat box so we can take it from there. All right. Just give me a minute so I can.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yes, Turunki, we have received one question from Ankita. She's asking, how do you balance speed and reliability in CI/CD pipelines while maintaining robust incident detection?
I know that's the speed and reliability. Our reliability, if I look at it, is the combination of your security and making sure that your code that you say works, it really works. If you don't have a true DevSecOps environment or DevOps environment, that's how that question starts. Like I said, you need to measure your metrics. You have to measure your metrics. If we don't take into accountability our metrics, it's going to be a challenge to balance it because I'm doing one thing now and I need to do it better and I need to provide quality. That's the question. But how do you do things better if you don't test and practice? It's like somebody that is running a race. I want to run 100 meters dash. You keep practicing, looking for ways you can improve. I've seen people that play tennis, even the water they take in, they make sure that the oxygen that is in it is a particular so that they can function well. Similarly, you need to do that in your ID environment to balance that. Go back, shift left. What are you doing? Can I do it better? Can I improve it? Can it be of better quality? And that's why you see people releasing, like when we release codes in those days, I used to be a developer in some other life. It's not just because some people will tell you if it's working, don't break it. That's not the era where we're in because the world is so competitive. Everywhere is digitally run. So why would you not balance speed with everything? You go back, even things are working, you go back and see how can we do this better? And then you surprise your customers or you surprise the business and you do it a new release, without breaking anything to say that we're functioning, we want to make it better. So it's constant learning, constant development, constant background practice. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, Jironki. The next question that we have received across the live platform, Isa is asking, what your perspective? What's the most unutilized tool or practice in DevSecOps incidents recovery today?
The most unutilized part, to be honest, I feel that people don't lessons learned is one of the things where I see people are faltering, keep the same mistake. If something happened and then it comes back, human being, we tend to be very reactive and we tend to be, I don't want to say lazy, but really people don't go back and check things, so if we're not doing things like that, then it's going to happen again. And one other thing I noticed, developers don't really like security. That's what I've noticed. Security is not being utilized well. What I want to tell you, like for example, I purposely shared that secret. If you notice, I shared one of my slides. I shared what can go wrong if your secrets are compromised. We tend to be very laid back when it comes to all those your API keys, your SSH keys. People don't pay attention to it. They just let the system automatically generate it and leave it there. And then sometimes when problems happen, this becomes an issue. So these are areas I've seen us as humans that we need to really improve on. I hope that
Okay,
answers
thank
your
you very
question.
much. Absolutely. Yes. Thank you very much, Ranki, for answering this one. So we'll be taking few more questions as we still have a time. So I would love to request all the participants, please, if you have any question in your mind, please drop your question so we can take it. So I can see a question received from Makaila. She's asking, how would you integrate automated incidents response playbooks into a CI/CD pipelines without disrupting deployment speed?
Okay, without the, oh, wow. So you are aware that you're supposed to have different, they have, some people call it green, purple, is it green, blue? So there's a live system that is running. So first of all, you need to understand that there are different landscapes. The deployment that is running in production is different from what you have in your testing, UAT, QA environment. So when you need to test new things, new codes or playbooks, those are the ones you need to use. You use the environment that it's mimicking production. Most times I encourage teams to make sure that your last, you could call it whatever. Some people call it user acceptance testing environment. Some people even call it a different name. I think integrator, I don't know if somebody can supply there. That environment exists for you, which is like a replica of production. You can use that to test. That can be an environment that will be down or a copy of it. And then the playbook, there are tools that you can use. There are a lot of companies. One does not come to mind, but if I remember, I'll share with Pritam, where you use your SOA things, you create all those playbooks, you would have written the codes, and then you can use it to deploy into this other landscapes that is not your production environment. If you are not aware that if you don't have those environments, it's going to be difficult for you to test and use your automated playbooks to do things. There are days you should take days out. That's what I call tabletop exercises or deployment exercises. You just take a day. The team needs to plan in your schedule, create a day where you're going to test. It's like the fire drill. The fire drill in organizations where there will be a day, there's nothing happening, the fire alarm will go off, and all of us will walk out of the building. We're preparing for the day that will happen. Similarly, you need to be able to do that. I know people are cutting on costs, organizations are cutting on costs, but these are very important platforms to create or environments or landscapes for your organization to test your playbooks that you would have created. For this one, for example, this is a snippet of a code. If you can see my screen, clone. They've cloned all those environments. Then you ensure that you can test it and it will be similar to production. And people will do tests that what we have, it represents production. It's not short by any number of tables. The capacity may not be the same thing just because the production is running on massive capacity, or we're using parallel servers. And these days, what people use is not one massive server. It could be like 10 or 15 because you're running in the cloud, right? You have 15 CPUs or GPUs running your production environment. So for this testing environment where you're testing your playbook, it may not have those 10 servers. It may have just 3 or 5, but you run the playbook and make sure that you can deploy to that platform and it looks like production. In my days when I used to work as I don't even know what title was, a technical whatever, we would do all those tests, although in those days I was working with IBM. We would do those tests. We also make sure it's similar to production. It is so important because then we were managing customers and we have promised them heaven and earth that, we're going to make sure your system is running 9999, no, whatever number of nines. So it was so important for us to test this kind of a thing. Now things are simpler because now codes, you can use your infrastructure as a code. You can just run it, it will deploy the codes, it will deploy the environment, and you test it. Even you can make sure that the snapshot of production can be restored into it, and you look at it as similar to production. That's how to make sure that you can do that without interfering with what is running live. Is that understandable? Do you understand that?
I think we have received one more question from Makaila Durungi. She's asking what strategies ensure real-time monitoring aligns with compliance requirement in DevSecOps workflows.
So what status, say that again?
What strategies ensure real-time monitoring aligns with compliance requirement in DevSecOps workflow?
Okay, so when you say statuses, so many things. I can take it from development side. I can take it from security side. So I don't know how. So for people using, if you're in so there's Azure, for example. If you're running on Azure, at least for an environment where I've advised them before, there's a tool they call Defender. Actually, it's incorporated such that it can actually, so I'm talking of compliance now. You can configure it to enhance, or you can configure it to things that you're monitoring for compliance. For example, we have, I'm in Canada, so we have certain, there's something we call ITSG 33, is a mirror copy of NIST. 853, that's a framework. I don't want to go too much into technical details, but what we've done is to configure Defender, one aspect of it, to make sure that it's monitoring the compliance. When I say compliance, is in the area of, for example, access control. If they says that there's multi-factor should exist, actually it will pinpoint that, this account or some of these accounts do not have multi-factor enabled. So you have things like that. But if it's in terms of health, right? If it's in terms of health, for you to achieve maybe the SLA, depends if you're managing operations for another organization or you're in a data center. If you've promised that, you promise that availability or the uptime should be this particular much. There are tools that can be incorporated that's constantly telling you, oh, you are below this, you're below that, or the performance of your server is lower than what it should be. There are all kinds of tools now that can be configured to do that. Okay.
Greatly answered, Turunki. Thank you very much. So we'll be taking this last question, and after that, we'll proceed with the closing of the session. So
Okay.
the last question we have received from Sam is asking, what's a practical way for small or mid-sized teams to stimulate incident recovery without enterprise-level budgets?
Okay, thank you. That's the question I was expecting. I believe that most people are from there, from this environment. It's not everyone that is Walmart or Netflix or, Microsoft or whatever. I believe that things should be, instead of scaling, regardless of whether it's a small organization, I assume that now in this day and age, most people are running in the cloud. So what you can do is to maybe after testing, I mean, you should always have, no, I've seen situations where people are shutting down even their dev environment just because they don't want to increase the compute cost, because anything you spend in the cloud is money. But you still do have to spend money if you're true to yourself about making sure that you want to stay, you want to be available, you want to stay consistent. You should still spend the money, do whatever you can do off-site. When I mean off-site is that you know what your environment is like, you know your codes, or if you're still using manual, maybe for your servers, you know what processes that you have done. You make sure those processes can be tested. There's something we call dry run. Dry run. Dry run means that you're manually walking through. You assemble people together. It's a traditional way, but it's still relevant as a way of testing things so that it reduces the time you will spend in spinning up compute that can cost money. So create your processes end to end. Make sure that everybody has their own part in it. Then maybe look for a day where you want to spend money or use that and test that. Or if you have solid backups, if you're still on the traditional servers, in those days, I don't know if you run 24/7, but if you don't run 24/7, and if it's your organization, you can take a down day to test things, and then you go back again. But I want to caution you, make sure before you go down, make sure you have full backups, full processes of what you have. If you don't have that, you need to make sure that is developed first. And this is how you gradually scale. You gradually test this, and then you take it's like taking baby steps. You start this, you do your dry run, you make sure all processes are documented, you ask for feedback from various teams. Is there anything you've left out? Then you assemble all the scripts that should be used, and then you test those scripts maybe in silos separately, and then you look for a day where you can do your playbook or test run. That's the approach I would take if I were a small organization.
Thank you very much, Ranki, for such a detailed explanation. Thank you so much. So I will take last one more question. I hope that's fine with you.
Oh, it's okay.
Ibrahim is asking for an organization that you have a lot of application running currently, concurrently, and what tool or what API can you use to ensure observability and real-time operational monitoring for all your applications?
Oh, okay. There's so many of them, to be honest. I don't even want to start because I'm not sure. Sometimes, they have things like, and it also depends on the technology, right? Some people are using the Windows environment, in which case you go with all of the Microsoft tooling. They have Defender now. They're doing a lot of things. There's Splunk, there's Tivoli for traditional environment. There are quite a lot of tools, to be honest, and you can Google and see what can you use, and there's so many vendors. The problem is being able to filter out the vendors' marketing. So that's why I always say, first of all, identify what you want to use. Identify what you want to do, what you want to monitor. Make sure you know it before you start going out there to look at tools. What happens is we tend to buy tools, and then we now realize that the tool is not sufficient, and then it becomes more problem to work around. Now it becomes problem. Now it's giving you more work to work around. I would say the business first, determine what exactly you need. What do you need to monitor? To what scale is there? And then we start looking at tools that are out there that you can use. There are quite a lot of them out there.
Thank you so much, Ruki, for answering all the questions. We are here stopping with the Q&As. And before we move forward, would love to hear final thoughts from you for all our participants today.
Okay. I want to thank everyone for taking time. I know for people in Singapore, it's late at night. Thank you for coming to listen to this lecture. In doing this kind of a thing, nobody's an expert. By talking to you, it has also helped me, to make sure that whatever I'm presenting to you, I can learn more about it and disseminate proper information. And I believe you can all do it. Whether you're looking to upskill, to get courses done here, I believe that you have the things, the capabilities to do that. So I want to wish you have a wonderful weekend if it's still Friday for you, and enjoy your weekend if it's Saturday for you. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you for the opportunity, Peter.
Thank you very much, Duranki, for kind words. Thank you so much. So, yes, as I mentioned earlier in the chat box, that we do have some great announcement for all of you. So, this is regarding the certification that we are providing. And guess what? We are providing a promo code that is Dave S20 to get amazing discount on this certification. So, DevOps20, you can use this promo code. As you all know, these certifications are lifetime validated certification, which comes along with the learning resources, and you can have the flexibility along with it. You will be getting chance to connect with our training partner channel, and you'll be getting an opportunity to work on the capstone project. So to grab this opportunity, you can opt out for the certification that is Certified Site Reliability Engineer Foundation, Certified DevOps Foundation, Certified DevOps Practitioner, Certified DevOps Foundation. So we have this all certification. You can check the links that I've shared in the chat box for all the certification that we do have related to this webinar series. So please check it out once. Also, I would love to introduce the new concept that GSDC has come up with, the utility tool. Many of you are already aware of this tool where you can enhance your LinkedIn profile score, where you can build your personal brand. So do check this. You can use this August 100 promo code and get 100% discount. This is only for our webinar attendees. So do grab this opportunity. You will find the details in the chat box about utility tool. And also, I'm happy to inform you all that we'll be having the next webinar series, which is scheduled from next week, that is Monday to Friday, 8th September 2025. And we'll be having Salim Virji with us, and he'll be presenting the topic that is building and managing scalable distributed systems. So please do join us with the same time slot, that is 8:30 a.m. CST and 9:30 p.m. Singapore time. Also, would love to inform you all that we are running this AI tool challenge, which is scheduled for 28 days, and we've already done with the 14 challenges. So please do join us for the remaining sessions as well. For that, the time slot is 10:30 a.m. CST, 11:30 p.m. Singapore time. So please do join us, as we do have this incredible panel of AI experts who will be teaching us and will be giving a live demo session on the AI tool. So please do join us. Also, you can refer your friends and colleagues to this session, and by doing that, is what you can earn rewards that is worth $400. And if you are referring people to the knowledgeable session, you're already taking a step ahead and you are becoming a thoughtful leader. You can enhance your credibility by doing that. And guess what? Top 3 winners will be featured on the GSDC Wall of Fame. If you allow me a minute, I would love to show you all how the leaderboard looks like. Just give me a minute so you can check how much points you have earned so far by referring maximum people to the session so far. Just bear with me a minute so I can show you the leaderboard. So you can access our event page from there. Okay, give me a minute. Here we are. Let me share my screen. All right, so I hope my screen is visible. So you can access our event web page, and you just have to scroll down a little bit, and in the search tab bar, I'm so sorry about that. I was lost. The network I've lost earlier. So here I was showing you all a leaderboard earlier, where you can refer maximum people to our session. Also, we'll be announcing all the winners at the end of this webinar series. So you still have a time till next Friday to refer and to be a winner. So here we do have these three winners so far. So I congratulate to all three by referring maximum people. They have topped our leaderboard. So yes, congratulations. We'll be definitely getting back to you for the report. And also, if you want to be a speaker, if you want to share your insights and make an impact, you can join us for our upcoming sessions as a speaker, as a global featured speaker, as we do have platforms like Learning Capsule, webinars, and the podcast. And also, we would love to connect with you all over the social media. You can scan this QR to get in touch with over the LinkedIn. You can explore our website to check our offerings, that is www.gsdcouncil.org, to get more information and details regarding the certifications that I've mentioned earlier. Also, you'll find all the links of the certifications in the chat box. And also, you can join us over the WhatsApp group to get daily update on the events and the webinars that we do conduct. And do not forget to share your session takeaway and the learning outcomes on the Trust Pilot. You'll find the link in the chat box. So thank you everyone for joining us throughout the week for all the sessions of the DevOps and DevSecOps. I hope to see you all for the next week sessions as well. Until then, keep learning and take care. Thank you very much, Duronki. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.